We're just being extra.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. Trader Joe's wine has me. How about you?
Hey.
Best $4 ever. Hey, you guys.
She said we getting started.
I know. I have to pour this little wine because we got to get going. It's going to be a heavy topic today, but we appreciate you guys for sticking around. If you don't know who you're listening to, welcome to the Just Extra podcast with Jackie and Erica. I'm Jackie.
I'm Erica. I like that you already were like, it's going to be a heavy topic today. Yeah, I mean, it's if you haven't already read what you're about to get into, we're definitely talking about something that's going to take us back. I feel like start at the roots,
start at the embryo, but before we start, hey girl, how's it been?
It's been good. I like that we're coordinated right now. So if you're like, what's she talking about? You should probably go to our YouTube page and see what we're wearing. We're very much giving fall. We're very much giving like cornucopia. You know what I'm saying? Like
giving all the leaves, honey. Giving, transformation. Giving, it's about to get cold outside. Giving, where's my... What are the girls wearing out? We're in Houston, so the weather does what the weather does. But peacoats,
like
peacoat weather.
I was like, they definitely are not wearing no peacoats here. But yes, I love a peacoat.
Look, peacoat and Chelsea boots. Okay, whatever you boys like to wear.
Yes, because this is ahead of Jackie's like, you always time our date our episodes. I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be our Thanksgiving episode. Okay, right?
Yes, this is definitely going to be a Thanksgiving episode. So by the time you hear this, we are going to be at our, predetermined destinations, enjoying our food. I hope you're enjoying it too. But let's talk about the events that happened this week.
We had a Friendsgiving.
Yeah, we did. I was like, yeah.
Yes, it was in Mikasa. It was supposed to be at one of our friends' places because she just moved and she was really looking forward to hosting. But, in regards to like a Friendsgiving, you kind of need like, a table that sits, the amount of guests that you're going to have. And that was not something that she was able to obtain at that time. And so I have a big table for what reason? Reasons like this, because at first I was buying this table and it was very much so like, you have no friends. And it's like, who's going to fill up this table? Like, truly, you live by yourself. Why did you get a table that could seat like 8 people at it? And yeah, I have a strong desire for community, okay? So I just envisioned that like everyone would be at my table and we'd be like playing cards and we'd be like together. Like that's what I got the table for. And so I was actually really happy. Sorry, shout out to Arlene. Sorry that you did not get, your table. But, I was happy to step in and host. So yeah, we had Friendsgiving.
Yeah, I had Friendsgiving was good. I ain't gonna lie. Well, I'll just briefly talk about my Friendsgiving experience with this. I was only there for an hour. I really just popped in, gave you guys my good mac and cheese, and I banana bread and dipped out. So,
I didn't even get to try any of your banana bread, to be honest.
Oh, it's gone?
It's gone, girl.
Oh, okay. Well, shoot, that means it was good.
Yeah,
so, look.
That's the crew, not me.
I know, I gotta ask. Yeah, we had a Friendsgiving and I couldn't stay longer than like an hour and some change. We even asked Arlene to we'll just call her name out. She'll be on the podcast, so you'll catch her. You'll catch her. She's a very good friend of ours. So, man, no, I even asked her, hey, can we push it up an hour before? Because I have to do an overnight shift. So a 12-hour clinical rotation, from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. So I'm like, hey, do you think we can push it back 1 more hour so I can see you guys? And just like niggas be nigging, y'all showing up late as hell. I ain't gonna lie, I showed up 15, 20 minutes later, but that's because of traffic. Whatever, I'm always late. Let me shut up. No excuse, Jackie, no excuse. But showed up, gave y'all my good food and waiting for everything else to be done. And so I was like, look, y'all taking all day. Let me go ahead and get my things and go. But from what I had, it was really, really freaking good.
I was very excited that all of our friends could cook because, you never know how potluck kind of situations are going to turn out. Like, truly, especially at work,
Girl,
especially
I
with
don't I
less
don't mess with
melanated
that work
people.
stuff. I don't
Because you
trust
don't even
y'all.
know exactly what they got going on at their house, right? Are they the kind of people who let their cats on the counter? You know what I'm saying? Are they watching their food like that? Like, what are they
What are
doing?
you using to prepare? Do you use gloves? I know you're not. I know you're not using gloves.
Do you
So
dig in your booty before you start cooking? Did you
did you
wash your
sneeze? Like,
hands?
did you? You know, like it's just so many variables. So that's why it's just like potlucks are a little shaky. But I would rather do it with my friends than say, my coworker Rebecca, because
That's also
baby,
why I don't do buffets.
hey, I ain't gonna lie. I love a good buffet, but
No.
you got some questionable ones, okay? I don't do Golden Corral. I know you people love that place. I can't get with it, okay? But yeah, no, I did my clinical rotation. Like I literally sat with you guys, did literally one round of Taboo, which I actually like the cards that I bet y'all was still playing that. I thought
We did.
it was good, right?
Had a
I was
great
having a
time.
good time with that little one round, 2 rounds I played. So yeah, y'all just went to the hospital. It was our first rotation with this professor. We had to stay the whole time. This is my first time in the ER. Y'all, let me just talk to you. let me just talk to y'all really, really quick about this experience. I don't know if I would do ER. I will say the time went by kind of fast because I was forever moving here, moving there, doing all the types of things. Like as soon as I walked in, this guy was this big guy who looked like my mom's boyfriend, actually. So that was kind of weird. He literally had like a brain bleed. He crashed his car into a brick wall, and only half of his body was moving. He was about to code. They had to intubate him. That means put a breathing tube down his throat. I had to put in a whole Foley catheter. That means you can't pee, so don't worry, we're gonna pee for you. Stick a whole tube down your pee hole and all shit. And then this guy
Wait,
comes
you
in.
had to do it?
Yeah, I had to do it.
How big was his penis?
It wasn't that big, but I had to literally pull it. He was uncircumcised. Pull it. I have to get so much information, but don't worry, no names or no anything. It was just a male. Okay, so pulled it back, pulled the foreskin back, and had to jam that tube, lube it, jam that tube in there, and he felt it. And he was like sedated, but he could still feel pain. But I did a good job. So they were like, oh my gosh, you did a great job. And I was like, thanks, like I am not, man, it's just more skills. And then I also did EKGs. I also had to stick a pill up his butt. It was just so much, so many things. And we thought he was about to die, and he didn't. He made it through the night. But yeah, and then this one guy was rolling in while I'm over here watching this one guy like almost die and croak, and he's like having a whole fit, and he's like, I'm about to throw up, and he literally throws up in the hallway, like just bleh, bleh. And I'm like, oh my god. And the girl that I was shadowing, she was like, welcome to the ER, and I was just like, I don't want to do this. It's like those are the moments where I'm in nursing and I'm like, do I want to do this?
I literally the whole time was literally clutching my pearls because everything you were saying, I was like, I literally could never. I had to like close my eyes and like think happy thoughts because I know I'm not equipped.
I done did all the things to that man. Like he when they was like, yep, you get to give the anus aspirin. I was just like, what? I gotta do what? I'm over here losing my
What is that
fingers.
for?
Well, if you can't really take in anything because your mouth and tubes down your throat, you need to get, the medication one way or the other. And if you have like heart failure or anything like that, they'll help with the blood clotting and anything. So, honey, it was a whole bunch. So I had to double glove and lube my finger and just get all up in there and stuff. Well, one finger up in there, and they said, just keep pushing until you feel like you can't push no more. And I was just like, all right. And I pulled it out. I was like, oh. You just saw my bra. Sorry, y'all.
I honestly, I didn't because I'm still freaking out. So I'm gonna have to watch the replays on YouTube.
Man, no. And I was just like, get this glove off me. And I was like,
Yeah.
I was trying to keep it cool. And then it was just a lot. Trust me, as soon as I got home, I showered so bad. Like I showered and I exfoliated and I like literally was just like holding myself like, oh, you ready? I ain't gonna lie though. It was very interesting though. It was definitely giving like Grey's Anatomy in there, you know. So I never really watched the show like that. I just know the
Yeah,
characters.
good and well I was not watching this show. Okay. I could barely take your story.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was it. That was my time in the ER, but I really wanted to finish the rest of the night with you guys. But how was it? Tell
We
me.
had a really good time. We had a really good time. Yeah. So I mean, we already talked about how all the food was hitting. Okay. There was bottles upon bottles of wine. Okay. So we had all the good libations. We had some other libations as well. And it was just really good company. Like it's just, you know me, the emo hoe, being like, it was just really nice to be around all these people. Like, yeah, we played Taboo. That was really good. We didn't play any other game. Like, we didn't switch to Uno. We didn't watch a movie. Like, we just played Taboo for.
It was good. I definitely was like, y'all, let's not play the Uno. Let's play Taboo. Taboo is fun.
We did switch to a drinking game. So we did switch to, I can't remember what the game is called. First or last or first, something that Erling just got. But we did do that drinking game, and that was interesting. I think a lot of us were like not understanding the rules. I think a lot of us were like not listening either, because, the cards would say, the last person to stop whistling has to drink, right? So if you don't want to drink, you shouldn't be the last person whistling. But I guess we heard, oh, the last person to whistle, like we thought like the last person, gets a prize. And so we was all just like,
no, that is so funny.
Just holding the whistle. And then, one of the friends that was reading the card was like, y'all didn't listen. Like, you're not supposed to be whistling the longest, okay? But
so they were competing.
I mean, we were all playing the game. We did not do shots. Some of us, sometimes some of us were doing a little small
a shot of wine, because that's all I saw was wine.
But most of us were doing a shot of wine. One of the friends brought that tequila bottle. So we had some tequila, but mostly it was wine. So yeah, that was it. And then some people decided that they wanted to leave and go to Urban Social. And so around like 10:30, people were like exiting and getting ready to go. So yeah, it was a really good time. It was a good time. Everybody tore up all the food. There's like very skimp on a lot of these leftovers.
Man,
boy.
Y'all killed me. I was like, first off, our friend's turkey was so good. So good. I'm so happy he saved me.
And I'm
good
not a
piece.
turkey fan.
I don't like turkey at all. Well, I don't like Thanksgiving turkey, because Thanksgiving turkey is kind of like dry as hell. But it was juicy. Okay.
It was so juicy. Mm-hmm.
You can make me another one. I might need to pay him.
And apparently he didn't even make it the way that he usually makes it, because he forgot. So
you should have heard him. He was like, he was like, I don't know, y'all. This may not be what was given. And I was just like, look, whatever you do. But the thing is, cooks, we are always hard on ourselves, because it's our own
every
food.
single person came up into this house and was like, man,
we'll see what it's given. We'll see what it's hitting for. Okay,
well,
let's
you ain't
see.
gonna die, but
that's why I was just like,
everyone did really well.
I think so. Everyone was good. I tried everything that you gave me. It wasn't bad. So like, yeah, I definitely you know, I can't wait till next year.
Aw. Yeah.
Yeah, cause
Yeah.
y'all stay doing Friendsgiving without me, but I'm just like I'm always out of town for Thanksgiving.
So
So
you wanted to talk about the history and whatnot. So go ahead, talk about histories and whatnot.
okay, y'all, the purpose of Friendsgiving is to have a Thanksgiving celebration with your friends, but you normally have it before Thanksgiving because friends are your chosen family. You know, we've done Friendsgiving a couple of times, like even when we were in Chicago. So, you know, I enjoyed our Friendsgiving. Like,
Mhm.
I remember the one time we came over Imani's house and we just like smoked and we like had like a good time, like just sitting, chilling, and just like enjoying each other's company. So
Mhm. I think I still have like the photos and the videos like from that day.
it was
Right?
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was my first Friendsgiving.
I feel like it was my first Friendsgiving too. And I feel like I'm like trying to really think, but I'm like, no, I feel like it is. I feel like it was. It was nice. Oh, everybody was like, you know what? Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't. Because I did live with like the other girls, and I was like, did we do a Friendsgiving before? Anyway, it doesn't matter. They're always thoroughly enjoyable, especially for reasons that you mentioned in regards to like our chosen family and whatnot. So, but you know, my mom is actually coming into town. I know like we're recording this and like it releases on Thanksgiving. So my mom has been here. Hopefully it's been a great time. But yeah, I'm like, oh, look at my mom coming to visit me. So that'll be good, you know? So we'll have a
I
family
can't wait to
member
meet her.
around. Yes, she definitely wants to meet you. So I'm looking forward to it because, you know, my mom is a hot mess, but, you know, all
Nah,
love.
for real. I can't wait to meet her because just the stories that you tell and just when I think of her, when I think of that, when I think of my ideal life, like that's kind of okay, traveling, enjoying life, not to the T exactly how she lives her life because no one's going to be the same, but just more so doing life how she want to do it, you know?
Mm
Traveling, being a nurse.
hmm.
I'm
Mm
gonna
hmm.
be a nurse and I like to
Mm hmm.
travel. So,
Mm hmm.
you know, can't wait to meet her.
Yes. It'll be a great time. It'll be a great time. So speaking of moms, I think that can move us into our extra segment. It's starring a mom. So Jack, you found this one. You want to talk about it?
So, this episode of the Just Extra podcast, we're going to talk about parenting, as we stated earlier. I came across this clip of Joey Chavez, or you all know her
Honey.
as Little Bow Wow or Future's baby mom. She has a YouTube. She's also a dancer. You know, she's an entrepreneur. But this is how we see her. You know, I see her online. Don't know her personally, but this is what she gives us. So she talks about, hey, her daughter. Her daughter with Bow Wow is very talented, in my opinion. Every time I see her, she's doing some acting, a TikTok, a dance. And I think she's done like a few like modeling gigs. I'm not sure. But she's very talented. So she comes on the clip, Joey. Now, I don't know if it's Joy or Joey. I don't know how she pronounced her name fully. Ugh, my bad.
Sorry,
um,
child.
sorry, honey. But she talks about the fact that her daughter doesn't want to do the TikToks anymore. She doesn't want to do the dances. She doesn't want to film herself every time she learns a new dance. She doesn't want to do it with her mom anymore. And she's not really interested in acting. You know, both of her parents, Bow Wow and, you know, Joey, they have pretty much stated like, hey, you should go for it. And they're pushing her towards that because she is talented. But she said, I want to be a regular kid. I don't want to do that. I just want to be me and grow up and just do me. And that was really shocking to me because I just genuinely thought that she wanted to do those things. I genuinely thought she wanted to film the TikToks. I didn't know that, you know, her mom was the one putting the camera in her face and stating like, let's film, let's film, let's film. Because in my opinion, I thought it was, you know, kids are normally the ones that drag you into this fresh stuff anyway, right?
Like a Northwest, right? Like when you watch Northwest and Kim Kardashian's TikTok, like it's definitely North who's leading that
Shout out to
account,
North.
so to speak.
I love her already. Like she just the way she goes about it and she just like really gives it to her mom. I love it.
But yes, so yeah, it's definitely to your point, not seeming. It's well, it's very clear. Joe, whoever came up on Instagram, I believe, or whatever platform she was on to talk about how her name is Shy, right? Shy doesn't want to participate in that. So I guess so. What did you get from that video?
It thinks, you know what? It makes me think about all of the parents growing up, like Disney children, um, young stars and actresses, how they started off and where they are now. And wondering, was it really the child's choice or the parent's choice? And, you know, what are your parents' expectations and dreams of you? And, you know, how does that really manifest itself? I know for me, I'll speak on myself. My mom only expectation she had of me was to graduate college. She didn't really have too much after that. She pretty much just let me do what I wanted to do. But my grandma and my dad, they definitely had the expectations of me to like, okay, you can go to school, you can do that, but you need to settle down, do a relationship, have kids, do the ladylike thing to do. And I kind of found myself like rebelling against that, especially in my 20s. Even now, like there's moments where I'm just really like, you know how we talk about relationships all the time on this podcast, but there's moments where I'm just like, why does that have to define me? Like, what does that have to do with me having to be whole as a person and be like a mom and be like married? What about me just being great? Because I think I'm awesome. I think I'm fantastic. I think it's going to take a very special, unique individual to want to sit next to me and say, and be very confident in that and just say, that's
I
my
can't wait
baby.
to see it.
uh, when he show up, just know that's my man, and I'll fight about it. But until then, no. I just think it's just interesting. What expectations did your parents have for you?
hmm I don't really think that they had a lot of expectations for me. I think that they wanted. I mean, uh, yeah, you're saying that they just wanted you to go to college. I'm like, I think that my dad just was like, I mean, I want you to do better than me, like I just want you to be happy and healthy, and in a better situation than me is all that I would hear from him. And he was probably the one that would talk to me about most of it, like, you know. So I don't really feel like my dad in this situation, like as it relates to what Joy or Joey is doing with Shy, um, like living vicariously. Like I don't really feel like my parents felt like that was something that they were doing. Like I don't think my parents were like, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to put her in soccer cuz I wanted to be a star athlete," or like I don't think that any of those things were their motivation. It's definitely not the vibe that I got from my parents. But I can understand that there are a lot of people out here who are trying to live vicariously through their children. They're like, dang, I'm, quote unquote, too old maybe to do certain things. So I'm going to make sure that my, child does it. There was actually something maybe a couple weeks ago that we haven't even talked about, but like, I listened to the Higher Learning podcast with Van Lathan and Rachel and Lindsay, and they were talking about the clip that went viral of like this really young, black boy. I'm going to say like 6 or so, like very little boy, and how he was rapping with like, grown men in the background being like his hype man, but he was rapping about like FNBs and guns and violence and all these things
Little
at like
boy.
6. Like it was not like a Van playing outside every day. It was not Van. Okay. It was like the songs that a grown man, would write about how he in a gang and the things that he has to do. Like, and this is a 6-year-old. So I'm just thinking like that whole episode was like, how did you as a parent like think that this was something that you wanted to get your child in with, like you wanted your child to be up here at 6 talking about FMBs and shooting guns and whatnot, killing hoes. Like, you really wanted your child to be up here. Like, you clearly had, to me, dreams of being a rapper yourself. And that's why you were like, well, I'm 55 now. So I guess I got to let this, 6-year-old, you know, do what I wanted to do. And so you kind of wrote a rap probably for yourself that you had your child perform. And I just think that those things are weird. But yeah, no, that's not my experience.
I would say even to like my dad, like tennis was always his sport and I wanted to play because I wanted to, bond with him more and that's how we ended up bonding and becoming more close was through tennis. Even when I got MVP and every medal that I got, I gave to him because that was me showing like, oh, you know, you brought me into this and this is my way of like saying thank you, you know?
And I don't think that there's anything wrong with like introducing your child to your passions. But just like Shy is saying right now, where it's like, I don't want to do this, the
Mhm.
conversation's like over, right? Like maybe having a conversation about like quitting because you don't want to raise a quitter, right? Like, why don't you want to do it? Are you just sad that you didn't win this competition or, you're not getting this recognition or whatever? Like, what is the reason that you don't want to continue? But if you truly do not like it, like, let's find something else for you. And I think that that's okay. So I'm just like, yeah, you can introduce things to your child and see how they feel about it. And all of that is great. But I think once it gets to a point where they're able to vocalize, it's not something that they're interested in. Like, you should really respect their voice.
I do think that's important. You never want to be in a situation where you feel kind of trapped because that's the only way you'll get your parents' love and like validation if you just do what they want them to do.
Mm,
So you do what they
mm,
want you to do.
hmm.
Um,
So I guess kind of similarly along these lines, like I'm like, am I taking the way of like gentle parenting where it's like, I listen to my children and I, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, like, I'm like, what do you think of gentle parenting? Like, so for the folks, I don't know if I have a real definition, so I'm just about to make it up. But I'm like, gentle parenting is like where I don't even know how to define it. I'm like, should we Google it? I'm like, gentle parenting to me is like where you're not like doing some of these old practices. I think we all kind of go immediately to like disciplinary. How are you disciplining your children? And what does appropriate level of discipline look like? And does discipline have to be kind of like top down, like I'm ruling, or can it be like a way that we talk about deeper things? Like, why did you act that way? And what does it mean when you do certain things? And like really having like conversations to get them to understand versus like, again, very much so top down style of parenting. And I think that a lot of us think about like physical disciplinary action, like, oh, part of gentle parenting is like you're no longer doing like spankings and things like that. Maybe a form of gentle parenting is like timeouts over spankings and things like that.
hmm.
But I even think of it being like deeper, like really teaching them, like really having that emotional care because they are they don't know better,
At
right? And
all.
so when you are talking to them, you have to come from that like empathetic place of like, this child doesn't have the tools that I have to teach them the tools, and I don't just yell at them for not already knowing. It's about slowing down enough to be very person to person with your child, um and like really use this as like a learning opportunity versus like a way to embarrass them or make them feel shame and things like that.
I think
So,
gentle parenting, I really understand the concept of it and understand that if you do speak to a child or at least meet, I feel like you should just meet them where they're at because you're right. Kids just don't listen, they don't behave. Like, now, do I believe in spankings? I don't know. I'm kind of like about it because I've gotten spanked before, but I haven't gotten spanked all the time. Like, I was not abused, Like, there's a difference between coming home, I'm mad at the world, I'm beating my child, versus like, you know what you did. I gave you a warning and you decided you still wanted to try me. So you get over here and we go get this whooping. And it's just like, okay. See, every whooping I got, I deserved, except for that one time. It was my brother. No, it was my brothers that did it. But the fact that nobody wanted to own up to it, we all got whooped. So I was just like, like, I was mad as fuck because I was like, I didn't even do nothing. It's not even my room. And like, I mean, I hung out in there, but like, what? I wasn't doing nothing in there. Like, okay. So I felt like, I don't know. I feel like my parents kind of did like both in a way. Like, because they knew they could speak to me and I was able to have, I'm sorry, I hit the mic. But because my parents knew they could speak to me, and I wasn't like stupid or anything. Like, not to say kids are stupid, but it's like, okay, you can comprehend what's happening here. You understand the words that are coming out of my mouth, Jackie. I'm going to talk to you first. And if you decide you're not going to pay attention to me, and sometimes I didn't because I was rebellious. I'm still rebellious. All right, well, shit, okay? Sometimes it's worth a whooping. One time, I ain't gonna lie. One time, I went in there gladly. I was just like, I already knew what the hell I did. I was like...
That is funny.
I took that like a champ because I was just like, I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I feel like it was worth the whooping, okay? I'd rather get whooped than a grounding sometimes. Like, weeks without watching TV and stuff like that. I'm like, no, I'd rather just get this like 10-minute whipping, or not even 10, probably a good couple whips. Just come on, take me to the back. I'll be right back. You know,
she's funny to me, y'all.
But that's what I feel like that's why they stopped too, because they was just like, no.
I guess I don't know if whippings are like the things that I have like an issue with. Like, obviously I don't encourage it. And if you can talk to your child, definitely talk to them. But even still, like for me, I when I think about my childhood, I did get spanked. I definitely had a smart mouth. I talk back. Like, it was probably the reasons that I got spankings, because I be using logic and rational reasoning, and AKA that means talking back. Okay. And so I would get whoopings for talking back, but I don't necessarily feel anything about my whoopings. Like, I don't think about them and be like, oh gosh, I wish I had more gentle parenting from a whooping, right? Less spanking. Like, I think more of the, I don't know. I don't even think it's like parenting, like, let's talk about like why this is okay or why this isn't okay or blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't even think that is what I wanted. I think that like what I would have wanted from childhood is a little bit more like, I don't know, I guess just like the emotional support. Like, I think when my parents parented me, I think that they definitely thought about it as like, okay, let's make sure that like they're provided for, you know, that they don't have any wants, right? Well, maybe we do, because we definitely didn't get everything that we wanted, right? Like, we were not spoiled in any way, shape, or form, but we definitely had what we need. Like, I was not someone who was like, I don't have clothes, I don't have food, like, I don't have like access to extracurriculars or things like that. Like, it really wasn't about that for me. It was more of like, I didn't feel loved or cared for. Like, I felt like we are doing these things. Like, you have clothes because you can't be naked. The clothes were not a symbol of like, I care about you and like, I want you to develop a fashion sense and you're interested in them or whatever. It wasn't really coming from any of those spaces. It was like, you need to have clothes, so you have them. It was very much so like, even I remember some conversations were about like the food that we ate. Like it was very much so like, you're lucky that I'm making all these things for you. You're lucky. And I'm like, are we lucky? Because you have to feed us. Why does this make us lucky? And it'd be like, well, you're lucky. Well, I don't have to feed you this. It don't have to be all this good seasoned food and all this, whatever. I could do white rice and Spam. And I would be like, okay, what would Child Protective Services say if that's what you did? And they were like, they wouldn't say nothing because you're being fed. You're being fed. And I'm like, something tells me about like it would be really weird for them to come here and you're eating a steak and we're eating rice and spam. Like that seems weird. But again, it's not even about the food, right? It's about like, why are we having this conversation? Like, I'm lucky that you're doing these things for me. Like, this is what you should be doing. And yes, I know that other people don't have this. Like, yes, I know that like other children are probably not getting fed, but like, don't make it seem like because you can do it and that you are doing it, that like I should be jumping through all of the hoops. Like, this seems very like standard ways to care for a child. So I don't know. It felt very gaslighty to me that it was just like, you better appreciate. And it's just like, why do you feel
I
like we're
allowed
not
you to stay in
appreciating
my
this?
house, like the allowance
Where was I
thing.
gonna go? Where was I gonna go? You know what I'm saying? So I think like it's those kinds of things that I'm like, can you parent gently from that regard? Like, you seem very like something happened to you, and that's what I'm trying
Mhm.
to learn through my healing. Like, what happened to you where you feel like you have to like take all these things out? Or why do you not feel like you're getting recognized? Because you clearly feel like I'm not recognizing you for things that you kind of are supposed to do for me. You know, like the things that make it special to me would be like, are you checking in on me? Are you just going to have a check-in emotional conversation? Like, how are you doing? How was school today? Like, let's talk about what you're experiencing and going through. Like, none of those kind of gentler conversations were had. It was like, you don't exist unless you do something wrong.
Oh my gosh. No, well, let me be the first to say that's not how I would parent. It's not. I wanna no, me and my child don't have to be best friends because I'm not your friend. Okay. I believe in that statement.
Interesting.
But I
I
do.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say I grew up idolizing Gilmore Girls
well,
because
didn't she have her like
I
12 or something? Like
16.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's your coworker. That's your peer. Like y'all are the same. Like y'all. Okay, so like you're literally growing up with your child. Like no,
But
by
I'm
the
like,
time
talk to me like
yes,
a person. You know, maybe not. We don't have to gossip like we are friends, and you don't have to tell me about all the business that you
please, you do
have.
not have to tell me every single thing that you do, but I would love to understand like how are you developing? How are you seeing the world? Let me help guide you so certain things are not going to hurt you as badly. Because my thing is, we're all going to perceive things differently, but let me show you how to navigate this world the best way possible. You know, I'm not going to lie. I wish I knew more about dating and relationships outside of you need to get married and you need to have kids versus like, abuse is a thing. Also, people will say anything and do anything to get what they want from you. Also, you have choice in the matter, and healthy. And you already know how people feel about sex. Some parents do act like sex don't exist. Like you just showed up on their doorstep. So, and they don't have sex at all. They don't talk about sex, nothing. And it's just, I want to be able to have that I don't want my child to go into this world naive because a lot of the things that I had to learn about the real world, I had to learn through my friends and like TV and online and stuff like that. Like, and I had to literally sit with my mom and say, well, I already do these things. So,
My
you ready to talk
mom,
now?
being a nurse, I think she would always talk to us about kind of different things. My mom is very much so like a free spirit. She's always been like naked around us. Like, I feel like she's always been the one who would ask questions or make comments and make like sex and dating and relationships like common topics to talk about. So from that perspective, but I didn't grow up with my mom, and maybe we can talk about like what our household dynamics really looked like. So she wasn't the primary parent in my house, but anytime that I was around her, it was very much so an open, safe space when it came to like sex and dating and relationships. And I mean, she didn't really have a lot of successful relationships to speak to. in my observance of her, but I think that she was still open to having these kinds of conversations about like, what are you doing, and are you going to be safe, and how do you feel about him, how does he make you feel, those kinds of things.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So do you want to, I mean, level set about, I don't know, our parental dynamics?
Yeah. I mean, I can share. Grew up, both my parents were married until my dad passed away. Um, I was also raised by my grandma on my dad's side. Um, she had a lot of influence on how I was raised. And I think it was kind of weird because the things that my parents would say or do, it wouldn't particularly have much weight unless my grandma approved of it. Mainly because
Mm,
she had a lot more financial involving with my upbringing as well. So I'll say that.
okay. Yeah, I grew up in a blended family. So I'm a child of divorce. My parents, I don't have memories of them being together. And then my dad got remarried. Um, I don't know. Why do I like blackout? I'm like, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, probably like 8, 9, 7, 8, 9, something around there. Mm, Younger than that, because it definitely wasn't 9. 7. I'm gonna go with 7. Um, so yeah, my stepmom has been in my life for a really long time. She has 2 children that she brought in of her own. And so I grew up with my dad and my stepmom. And then my mother has dated. She's been in a couple of relationships that I have seen. Um, but I grew up visiting her every other weekend until I was in like the 7th grade. And then she moved back by her family because she was kind of separated from her family being out here with like my dad and stuff. And so once I guess we kind of got old enough, she also needed to escape one of these men that she was dealing with. So she went back over
Mm.
to the East Coast, where she's from. She's a New Yorker, and so she went back over there to be with family. So I didn't really see her on a regular basis, like 7th grade until like college graduation. And then after that, like, I could get my own finances and see her. I had a place for her to come if she wanted to visit. But it was probably really difficult to see her on a regular basis, like before college, because all of those travel funds had to come from someone. And, was my mom going to fly all 3 of us out? What is that? That's an expense. Okay. And then if she was going to come over here, it's still an expense to get a hotel. Right. So, I mean, she would also have to get a car. She would not be mobile, all the things. So, yeah, I didn't see her as much, like from 7th grade to college, through college. So, yeah, that's background, high level right there. It's the highest level I could probably give you.
I think it was very interesting that she decided to move during very informative years.
My little sister feels very abandoned. My little sister definitely has feelings of like not feeling loved, not feeling like she mattered. Like they got divorced like when my little sister was like 1. And she was like, I
Mm.
was only conceived to save the family, clearly, and I didn't do it. And I think she bears some of that relationship. My little sister struggles with telling people that she loves them because I don't know if she understands or has felt it. Yeah, I think, and not that I share her business. Thanks for the consent, not that you gave it. But like it does have a lot of impact on all of us. I don't necessarily feel like the same feelings of like feeling abandoned by my mom. Yeah, I'm more so, my emotions are very much so like, okay, well, the people who had me, what was y'all doing? Because that was not, in my opinion, a way to do it. I mean, it was a way to do it, but I think that there could be improvements there. But I'm again working on healing and trying to find grace and figure out why people operated the way that they operated. So there's that.
Uh, are you
Go
about to
ahead.
sneeze?
No, I have
uh,
been sneezing though.
I guess I want to say, like, I hope during this time you guys spend with each other, I hope you ask all the questions that you want to ask, because these these stories are important.
Jackie, I literally thought this when we did like Europe. We did the UK and Amsterdam literally last year or almost around the same time. I went and had Thanksgiving with her last year, and then we went right to um London, well, the UK, Manchester. And so during that trip, it was like one-on-one trip time for us. And I was like, I don't even know if I've ever had one-on-one time with my mom. Like, I don't know if I've ever, maybe besides like a trip to the grocery store. But like, I wonder, like, this is probably very thorough one-on-one time that I've never had before. And I'm like, how should I spend it? It was very much so like, should I ask her all these questions? And I just didn't want to. I just wanted it to be like, we enjoyed each other. But I think like maybe we'll be in my home and we'll be a little bit more comfortable. It'll be a little bit more like we don't have to do like, because we're not like sightseeing, like we're not experiencing anything necessarily for the first time. Like I feel like we could have this conversation, and I'm very interested. Like I have no understanding of anything. Like I'm just like, I don't know what led to the divorce. I don't know why y'all don't want to be together. I don't know why my dad's to this day harbors so much like negative feelings for you. Like I don't know a lot of those questions. I don't know like what you wanted from your life. Like I am very curious about it. Yeah. And we spent last episode talking about aging. So I do think about like, oh, my parents are aging, and how does my healing journey coincide with their aging, and like, is time limited, and how quickly do I have to get my life together to like have these conversations and do all these things? Anyway, yeah.
As someone who has one less parent, like, and we talked about time. Like, time is fleeting. You know, um, it's best to understand, or at least try to get a good gauge of where people were at, and also thinking about ages when like, oh, how old were they when this took place, and what was the world looking like at that day, and also like, what is their general makeup and mindset, and just to see like, okay, I can see why you made these decisions. Now, would I have made those decisions? Probably not, but I can see why you made those decisions. So when you have the chance and the time, and you feel comfortable, definitely ask those questions. Of course you're going to get one perspective because the story involves two people, but that's why you got to have the courage to ask the questions and get the answers, accept the answers for what they are, but also use your critical thinking to come up with your own personal conclusions that makes you feel better, because
Mm-hmm.
once you get past that, life's going to open up for you. Might
Mm-hmm.
unlock some things that you've been hiding this whole time. Not hiding, but just more so like, dang, this makes a lot of sense to me. Like, once I figured out who like my parents were, my grandma was, we talked about this, but like how your parents show up. For me, my parents and grandparents show up in my relationships and my friends and personal relationships. Just how I go about my attachment style stems from your home life. I have an anxious attachment. If you guys are familiar with attachment styles, take the quiz. It's really going to see how you like to operate in relationships. So I'm anxious. And that partly has something to do with the safe space situation. So now this
Tell
wine
me
is hitting
everything.
me. Did we talk about that?
We did
Yeah.
not talk about them yet. So there was a post that I saw that's by Dr. Raquel Martin. And she's talking about what are the 5 signs that your child may not see you as a safe space. And maybe we'll post this on our stories. I don't know if we're going to go through everything. But in regards to like the five signs that your child does not see you as a safe space, they show up as emotional avoidance, physical avoidance, caution, which is like them being cautious about what they would say or do around you, because they're trying to not upset you. Obedience, right? So children that are overly obedient do not express their own thoughts or opinions around you because they do not want to be judged. Um, they could show another sign could be hypervigilance. So this is when a child is incredibly aware of their environment because they do not feel like it's safe for them. And so, in her post, she's basically talking about why, like she says, it is very important to create an emotional space between parent and child so that no matter where you are, you can connect with each other. Remember that obedience builds resentment and fear. Respect builds relationships and safety. So I really thought that was a very impactful post. It doesn't say like, okay, well, what do you do about it? Because all my questions are like, so okay, now that I am aware, because I'll be thinking about that. Like, I get me and my stepmom, we don't get along. Whatever, we don't get along, and so there's a lot of confusion on her end as to what is the problem, and I just kind of look at it like. I'm like, there's so many signs that like our relationship is not top tier. And I'm like, how come you just are like, there's so many signs and examples that I can point to that's like, here's what happened. But I'm also just thinking like, I don't know why this came as a comment, but I guess I was just thinking like the physical avoidance, the emotional avoidance, like are very much so prominent for me. And I think about like, it has been about a year and a half since I have had a one-on-one phone conversation with my stepmom. I asked my dad to tell her that I just don't feel like talking to her and that I get triggered when her name pops up. And, I just also, I guess like the more time that has gone on since like I've made this request that like there has been no outreach from her. I just think it's so interesting. Like, I'm just like.
Did you expect her to, even
No.
with that request? Okay.
I personally didn't expect her to. However, if she's so confused, like so unaware of what the problem is, if she thinks our relationship is fine, why hasn't she called? Because I guess I think about this thinking about like, oh, if you and I, if you randomly told me, hey, Erica, I don't think that we have a positive relationship, and when you call me, it triggers me, so don't call me. If I'm literally sitting here thinking like racking my brain, like why would Jackie say this? Like I can't think of any times where I was not being a great friend to her. I cannot think of any any moment. Like it's so irrational. I would give you 5 seconds of space. I would be like, when can we talk about it? Like, when can we talk about it? I want to understand deeply because I truly value our relationship and I want to understand how I can continue or how I can, stop doing what I'm doing or how we can move past this. If you are someone that I value, if I don't value you and you're telling me that you don't want to talk to me, I'm probably pretty okay with you not talking to me. Right. But like relationships that you value, you'd be like, why aren't you talking to me, ho? So that's why I'm just looking at her like, you don't value this relationship. Because I'm wondering, like, what if your blood child told you this? Would it be different? And I've always just kind of felt that way. Anyway, we're getting a little deeper. But like,
it showed. Okay. So, and again, we can kind of like go back to the other like question, like, how does this show up in your everyday life outside of that, like
you were talking about the attachment styles. And, I always find it so interesting when I have taken the test several times to come out as secure attachment. Like I have taken it several times and every time it says secure. And even when we just started talking about this and you were like, "Oh, we should talk about like how these parental relationships manifest in other relationships," and I want to hear from you. But I definitely was like, I don't think that any of my friendships are resembling my parents. However, I do think that like my relationships exist because of my parents. Like I don't see characteristics of my parents in my friendships or platonic romantic relationships, but I do think that like I go towards people that are not like them at all because of them. Right. Like, I'm like, I don't want to be in a
Mhm.
space where I feel gaslit all the time. I don't want to be in a space where I don't feel like my emotions are protected. I only want to be in relationships with people who can hear my side and maybe not agree with me, but like can hear it and listen. And we can have like really, I see each other conversations. Like, everything that I want out of a relationship is everything that I didn't get out of my relationship with my parents. I feel like,
Mhm.
or at least that's what I strive for. Like that's what I'm striving for. And even like we haven't talked about Brokey in a second, but like even when I talk about him, I feel like, oh, I feel like I need to care for you because I don't feel like there's a lot of people that care for you, and I want to be
Mhm.
that source for someone. Like I want to take the opportunity to really show people that I care about them. Like I want to offer the environment that I did not have, which is not always great because sometimes I'm offering it to people who aren't doing anything for me back. Um so I feel like that's how it would kind of show up for me. How's it show up for you?
I think okay, so I want to challenge this a little bit. When we talk about the post that from the extra extra, like, hey, this is your parentals and how it's not a safe space and there's a physical emotional avoidance. Um, I noticed that you are able to not say move on quickly, but you're able to dead a situation pretty quickly, pretty like of like this is it. This we're not going back. This is enough. I'm done with it. Um, do you feel like has there any time in your life that that's happened to you? Like someone just kind of did something with you and you just kind of, you know, and let it be that?
Before you asked that specific question, I was like, yeah, because now I can decide who's in my life, right? Like I feel like
Mm.
my step parent was very much so like forced upon me. Like I didn't have a say because I would have voted no. Like I would have been like, "You sure it's her?"
Her?
And so
Okay.
now, and now as like an adult who has autonomy of who comes into my space, like I feel like, oh, I can make that decision. Nope, not you. Nope, not you. Nope, not you. Because maybe I didn't feel like I had it as a child. Like that's where my thought went. But you're like, where has that happened? Where like someone could cut me off really quickly, and maybe it's learned behavior. And then my second thought was to my mom of like, but I don't think of it in a way of like, why am I able to afford her grace and I can't give my stepmom grace? That's really like the number one question that I keep coming back to in therapy. I say everything's the number one question, but it is a repeat of what I talk about in therapy is like, so how come you give your dad grace? How come you give your mom grace? Where's the grace for your stepmom? Like, where's that? Don't know where it is. It's lost. But
I think
I
maybe
guess
because oh well, I can't answer for you. You only know the answer. Um, I guess because if you ever looked at how you would parent and say if you yourself came into a situation where, you had two children and, your partner, new husband has three kids, it's like, well, where do you fit in? You know? Some women would take that on and say, hey, we're going to make this work. We're all going to be one big happy family. And another would be like, I'm low key competing with all of these women to be the number one female in his life. It's so
so.
interesting.
Why are you entering this situation?
You never, you know what? You don't know. And not to say that that's what happened, but I'm just saying these are different angles that people kind of
That's
took
why I'm not
that
talking to
on.
my stepsister right now, is because I'm like, I posted something and I shared a post that was like, this woman was dating a guy and he just found out he got custody of his children. And that woman was like, it's time for me to stop dating you. And I reposted it and I wrote, like, at least she knew herself, because someone who's not aware of the fact that they might have feelings, feel a type of way about these other kids that are here or whatever, that does emotional damage on the kids that are here. So you, as the adult making the decision, you should be a little bit more aware of yourself entering into these kinds of situations. Like, I don't know what to tell you. So that, like, to me, I'm like, if you're not going to be the type of parent who's like, I'm going to treat every single person like I birthed them myself,
Mhm.
you don't need to be in these children's lives, right? Like, you don't need to be in their lives if you are going to look at them a type of way. You know what I'm saying? Like, even mad respect
Yeah.
to, this is going to sound real crazy, but even mad respect to my mom, like, I appreciate it. Like, I don't know what happened, but I'm like, okay, clearly, she was not around, right? But she never, I don't know if that was on purpose. Who knows? I don't know. I gotta ask all the
That's how
questions. But like,
you'll find out. You'll find the answer soon if
but I at least
you do it.
appreciate that, like, she I don't know. I think it's way worse to stay around and inflict the trauma on a day-to-day repeated basis. Like, just leave, right? Like, if my mom didn't want to be a mom, I almost prefer the fact, like, just leave. Okay. And that way, when you are around me and you do have the energy, that it always makes me feel good. Right. Like, it's like, oh,
Mhm.
now you have the energy. Great. I appreciate that. Which is why, again, self care throughout the day, all the time, is very important, so that you do have the emotional capacity for your children. Anyway,
No, shoot. No, you got it. Ah, you always be saying, anyway, let me dismiss myself. I feel like I'm over talking.
I do.
No. I feel like um
Like, let me get the sweat off my face, y'all. Okay. This conversation's getting me hot.
okay, I'll finish up with just how I see my parents showing up in my situations. I mean, like I said, anxious attachment showed up heavily in my relationships, and me trying so hard to I have an abandonment wound. I do. Like, there's moments where I really felt like I wasn't, like, cared for in times where I feel like I should have, you know? Like, I didn't really feel like people would stand up for me or, actually assert themselves when they should have inserted themselves. It's like, I'm your child. You can say no, you know?
Mm.
But I didn't really get that. So I don't know. I mean, when I'm really with people, the people I really care about, I'll fight for my friends. I really will. Like, my family even knows this about me. Like, when we were younger, like, I would literally go and fight like people for my cousins. And to this day, that's why these niggas piss me off to this day. But they can come listen to this if they want to, but y'all really piss me off because y'all know I would fucking die for y'all. And I hate y'all for that. But no, maybe not hate you forever, but at this moment, just more so like, don't ever fucking feel like I don't fucking care about you. And I really go hard for the people I really care about. And
That's the
when it's
crazy thing.
and then when it's a situation where I feel like I expose myself or I'm around people where I have to work so hard to get some piece of validation from, like, it feels familiar because it's just like, oh wow, like the whole post, on the post it said caution. I move with caution. I had people in my life where I had to kind of tiptoe around as far as getting things across or messages across without offending them. I had to kind of work really hard to, like, made sure that they felt like I cared, When at the end of the
Hmm.
day, I'm gonna show you how I care, how I show you how I care. Like, I'm always comparing myself to the next person, like, I'm not the most homebody person, and I'm not, you know, I got to work on being a little bit more considerate some days because sometimes I just don't think about things, But I just hate when Like growing up, I was always compared, like, see, this person always gets up and cleans, or this person always does this, and why can't you be like that? And it's just like, so I'm just not good enough. But yet at the end of the day, when you talk about your very grandkids or your kids or your niece and nephews that you brag on me the most, because I have the credentials to back me up, you know?
Mm.
But
Something about telling it to your face is like, why can't you ever say it to me how
and
you
maybe that's just me.
value me?
Maybe that's just how my astrology makeup is. I don't want to blame it on that, but just more so like, I don't know why I feel like the praise is never enough. Like, so I gotta work on just affirming myself more times than none. Like I gotta step out of myself and like really like understand. Like, yes, they care. Like outside of like bringing tangibles.
Hmm. I guess I'm just like, I think it's normal, or I just want to validate you in wanting to hear directly from your parents how they feel about you, right? Like you don't only want to be like, why do you only criticize me? But then you talk about me in high regard to other people. To me, that makes it feel like you're only talking about me in a high regard to other people because I'm a reflection of you.
Mhm.
So it's not actually anything about, oh, maybe they actually do care about me. It's like, no,
Oh
how can I
shit.
use Jackie and the great things she's doing to look favorably upon myself,
Look
is the
how great
vibes
of a
that I'm getting.
parent or person I am, because this is a product of my environment that I garner. But it's like, no, I naturally just have the tendency to do well. I'm just a naturally smart person. I want to do well. I mean, I feel like I overachieve sometimes for validation.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm just gonna work on just understanding that it's enough. I'm gonna be enough. And I'll give kudos to my mom, because while she wasn't the most vocal person, she was very passive in how she operated around the world. When she was always a very comforting space to be around. So whenever I needed it, I could get it. But she was never going to be the one to reach out and do that for me. Like I had to kind of like, hey mom, like,
Mm.
um, and I guess that's what I do with my friends. Like I always try to like, if I had a moment, just like express my gratitude for you guys. Um, but again, this shows up negatively in my relationships when I feel like I have to do the most. Like if a couple
Hmm.
days have went by or weeks went by and I haven't said anything, I feel like, ah. But I also have relationships that, I won't talk to the person for like a year, but we pick it back up like everything's okay. I know I'm probably not the friend that you would call every day, but I'm the friend that you can kind of chop it up with and like, exchange really good energy with. Um, that's all I want to do. But yeah, told y'all I was gonna get heavy this episode, guys. Told
Ah!
y'all.
I
Told
know.
y'all. I
I
mean,
know.
hopefully, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
I'm just like, dang, did I say too much?
Oh
You know
yeah,
what?
no,
No.
I really got into like to the whole cousin thing. Like, I mean, I have wounds there, and it's like, at the end of the day, nobody's ever going to fight for you like I was going to fight for you, and I hope you remember that. And that's why when I walk away from my family and all that, like how they did me, and I mean, we can talk about it on the podcast one of these days, but like, how my family as a whole did me, and my family was just very bad.
Hmm.
And for someone who never asked for anything in their life, and this is how it showed up, it just kind of like, okay, it just lets me know, like, whatever you do at the end of this world, do it because you want to do it. Like, and just walk away.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't like reminding people what I do for them, because I don't like doing that shit. I like to hear that I love you and you're my friend. I love you too. But I don't like to continuously be reminded or remind other people what I do for them. Like actual things I do for them. I hate that shit. I don't not say I hate it. Yeah, I don't like it, because I hate a nigga to turn around and be like, I bought you them shoes. Okay. When you were
I
like
mean, that
12.
was, yeah, yeah. I mean, thank you. I was literally going to be like, that was very much so, like, as a parent, like, the very much, and I'm just like, I needed shoes, and I'm 12. Who else was going to buy them for me? Where was I going to get them from? And it's just like, again, and this sounds maybe like harsh, because I don't know. I guess it's just like, I'm not saying this to sound like, again, spoiled. I'm very appreciative of those things because maybe you could have got me a different kind of shoe. Sure. Like, sure. But I'm just like, you showing up in this way is different from you showing up in a way that centers my emotional, mental well being. Like, again, your emphasis was just on the physical well being. It was just on the physical. Like, all right, you're fed, you got clothes on your head, you're going to school. We have the means to ensure that you go. But like, yeah, that real emotional lack is like, to me, where the emphasis should have been. Like, a little bit more kindness, some time to just chat and really see me, you know. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. And who knows what type of parents will end up being, honestly.
I don't know
But
if it's actually why I don't want to be a parent.
that is a very bold statement.
Yeah, I would have to fully heal in order to be like, I can be a
You're ready.
parent.
Not
Yeah.
either. You're ready now. Yeah. I mean, for me, I always wanted to be a mom. I think I have fears around being the best mom, making sure these kids are fed and alive and stuff like that. um, but the reason why I want to be a parent is because I just want to guide children into this world and humans into this world, understanding that you are enough. That's about it. You don't have to do nothing, no more, no less. You gotta support yourself because we live in America. But you are enough. And that's about it.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I hope you get there because right now I would have children to say, haha, I can do it better than you. And that's not an appropriate motivator.
Not yeah, people have kids.
I don't want to gain no weight just to say, haha, I can do it better than you. I don't want to split my coochie open just to say, haha, I can do it better than you.
Because it happens
I don't want to
all the time, girl.
Give up my free time and my everything. No, I want to joyfully be like, I very much so giving Adrienne Bailon vibes of like, I can't wait till I can dedicate my whole entire life to you. Because I think as a parent, because I didn't get anything, I'm like, it's all or nothing. I would have to fully be able to like homeschool you and be there and be the soccer mom and be literally everything. I would not homeschool. I would probably, if I was going to do homeschooling, I would put you in homeschooling, but I would not be the teacher. No, thank you. But yeah. There's so much that we could talk about under this whole umbrella of a topic.
We can definitely have a part 2, another, we can build on everything. So
that's why I'm like, our little peeps should totally let us know what resonated with you in this episode. If there was anything that was like, wow, like you touched on this and it really like is a part of my own experience or I can relate to this, feel free. Let us know. If you're like, wow, like I wish you would have spent more time digging deeper on that specific point, definitely let us know. You can write in our review section anything that you would like, feedback, all the good things. Definitely rate us 5 stars only. But write whatever you'd like. We'd love to hear from you. You can send us an email if you'd like to write into us a little bit more detailed. We have just extra podcast at gmail.com for you all. You can follow us on all the socials. So we are at just extra _ podcast on TikTok, on Instagram. That's how you'll find us on YouTube. So yeah, it's been a pleasure. And I'm like, should I end it? I'm like, I will talk to you next week.
I guess we could say like Happy Thanksgiving. There's this.
Oh yeah.
All right.
I'm
Despite
like,
the
Happy Thanksgiving. I'll be by myself. Okay.
for this holiday, praise to the indigenous people.
Oh my gosh.
Despite how this holiday came to be, just enjoy the time how you want to enjoy the time with your loved ones, by yourself, acknowledging the fall of the North American continent as we know it today. But yeah, enjoy your stuff and your turkey and all that good stuff. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait,
Yes,
y'all did not have
Indigenous
no cranberry sauce. What's up with that?
Oh, we did have cranberry sauce.
You did? Oh,
We did.
good job.
Yeah. There's no more. I mean, there
I mean,
is.
duh.
There's a can in my refrigerator. I just didn't open it at all. So
No. All right, y'all.
enjoy your cranberry sauce.
Of course. Bye.
Bye.
We're just being extra.